Sahano Bhunaktu Saviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Bhavitvishavare. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. Hari Om. Is it clear? Yeah? Salutations to Shukdev Maharaj and all the great gurus of the Bhagavatam. Satchidananda Rupaya Vishnutpatyata Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. So this 10th canto is referred to as Nirodha, which means that helplessly we are attracted to Krishna. We'll be seeing now in the stories that this name Krishna itself means to attract or to pull. And what attracts us? Well, what attracts you? His personality? No, just generally in life. What attracts you? Beauty. Shiny things. Very good. Beauty does attract us. And Krishna is all beauty. Yeah. What else attracts us? Really? Wealth. Well, power. More than money, power attracts us. Virtues attract us.
Kindness. Humor.
Humor definitely attracts us. Are you all thinking? What attracts you? Even if you're not saying it aloud, can you see how whatever it is that attracts you is Krishna? And if you can't, then you have to say it aloud, so I'll show you how whatever that is attracting you is Krishna. The beach, beauty. Right. food, specifically tasty food, only because we think it gives us joy. Right? So you're not attracted to the food, but wanting joy. Or sometimes nourishment, the feeling of being nurtured with food. Right? So what attracts us? The feeling of being nurtured or joy, happiness. In fact, if somebody laughs in a very serious environment, some people will look annoyed. Right? Like, why are you making noise? But often people will want to say, I also want to laugh. What are they laughing at? Attracted to joy. Love. Right? We are attracted to love. And it will manifest in different ways, and we might not draw a straight correlation that that's why we're looking at it. Yeah. Power, as you mentioned, beauty, as you mentioned, and humor is intelligence. We're attracted to understanding, things making sense. And the very word Bhagavan means he has all of these in infinite measure. And so Krishna is that which attracts us. Mostly he attracts us because all these things that we are attracted to, beauty, power, joy, love, is our own nature. And we seeking to go back to it. The minute we are taken away from our nature, we desperately want to go back to it. And so we are attracted to it. Only because of Maya, we forget that all power is Bhagavan and start looking for power in money or position, authority, and control. We forget that all joy is Bhagavan, and we start looking for joy in, and here our mind can get really corrupt in the places that we look for joy in, and start associating happiness and joy with. We'll be going through the stories. But one of the sweetest stories is, and when he gets a bit older, not that much older also, he's still only about 4 years old, and already he's thrown a few tantrums. And we know, we call him Nutcut, but actually nobody really talks about how many tantrums he throws. There's this one day where he swings his legs off the bed, and they don't reach the floor because he's still very small. And so usually when he swings his legs off the bed, Maya Yashoda's already there and wipes his face for him and already combs his hair for him. Doesn't have to do anything himself. Already she's there doting on him. But this morning when he woke up, Maya Yashoda's not there. And so from the bed, just like all other kids, will scream, Maya! And she's very busy that day, and so she doesn't even hear him, and so he screamed already 3-4 times and then things, and being ignored. And even though it's just story form in how I'm saying this, and Krishna really doesn't like being ignored. In your life too, please note this down. When he gets ignored, he will definitely take action. So he jumps down from the bed and he goes to find her, and she is very, very busy. There was this big ceremony that they did, and I don't quite understand it, maybe because I've never lived in a farm proper, but they gave the cows of 1,000 milk to 100, the milk of 1,000 cows to 100 cows, and then they gave the milk of the 100 cows to 10 cows, and then they gave that milk from the 10 cows to 1 cow, and then this milk is supposed to be very extra potent, and she was preparing it, and Krishna is wanting her attention, but she was very focused because, it would have taken so long for that whole process to happen, and so she doesn't give him any attention, and he gets so annoyed. He goes into the storeroom and he breaks all the pots. Every single pot, he breaks it. And so there's yogurt and there's curd, that's the same thing, milk and honey and everything all over the place. And then finally, after she finishes, and so much work she's been doing in getting that milk from that one cow which is supposed to be kept, and now there's all this extra work of having to clean up all this butter and all this. And she was annoyed for the first time ever, because usually anything he does, she gives in. Little bit she'll pretend to scold him, and then she gives him. Even when all the gopis used to come and complain and say, Krishna did this, first she'll look at the gopi's face, then she'll look at Krishna's face, and then by the time she looks back at the gopi's face, the gopi's smiling. So then she just says, Kana, don't do that again. So it's all pretend scolding. It's not real scolding. But this time he's broken all the pots and she is really frustrated, and she's been working already the whole morning, so she's already tired. And so then she says, you? Like, this is too far. I never discipline you, and that's why you've become so spoilt. And so today for sure I am going to beat you. And so she's actually holding the stick in her hand. And he pretends to be so scared, and he makes his eyes so big, and already, I don't know how kids can do this deliberately, but their lip is shaking like they're about to cry. Totally he's doing that, like, he's going to cry any moment now, and she's got the stick and she's running after him to teach him a lesson this time. And here Kathakars pause to say, actually, if you're holding any material possession, you will never be able to catch Bhagavan. And so for as long as that stick is in her hand, she won't be able to catch Bhagavan, because it is a material perception. Chaitanya is Bhagavan's nature, which means consciousness, sentiency, life. And material things block us from being able to lift our mind to Chaitanya. And so the more we hold on to material things, whatever the material thing is, then it's like trying to pick up something when your hands are already full. You won't be able to pick it up. But he is happily running. But Maya Yashoda had Krishna very late in life, and so she really wasn't as fit. She also didn't have gym subscription, because, very busy being the queen of the village, and so she had also put on a little bit of weight. That description's given in the Bhagavatam, I'm not making it up. When I'll add masala, I'll tell you when I'm adding the masala. This is all written in the Bhagavatam. And so now she can't run after him the way he can run, and she's already tired, and so already her hair has fallen out of her, because they used to make all so nicely. She used to also make her hair very nicely, and it was already falling out, and then already the beads of sweat were falling down her face. And so then Krishna thought, okay, she's tired. So he stops running, and then she catches him. And he says, Maya, okay, you caught me, but throw away that stick. And she says, no, this time properly I'm going to teach you a lesson. No, Maya, I'm very scared. Throw away the stick. And he's doing natak, but she can't actually have him if she has the stick. So fine. She throws away the stick and then she thinks, now how to punish you? And I'm going to tie you up and leave you here. And so she takes the rope and she tries to tie him up. Everybody here already knows the story? Yes. Most people know the story. Maya Shakti is what ties us up. And Maya Shakti is serving Krishna. So she won't allow Krishna to be tied. So that rope never meets. And then Maya Yashoda ties double the length. So now it should meet. And she goes around him and it doesn't meet. And now she's getting so flustered. Because, the first time ever I tried to punish this boy and it's not working and now I look bad because how can the rope not fit him when I've already added double the rope? And she's getting so restless and flustered in her mind thinking, why isn't this working? And so finally Krishna gives in. Okay, let Maya tie me. And so he overrides Adi Parashaktis because she won't tie him. He overrides that and he allows Mother Yashoda to tie him. And then in his mind, as she's tying the knot, he says, this is for the whole world to know that only love can tie me. Because Rishi Munis who are doing meditation for years and years and years and years and years and years aren't able to keep the thought of me in their minds. And we know, because when we try to do japa, we try to keep that thought and then it just slips away. And we try really hard to hold on to that thought and it slips away. Because in all our doings, we are doings, and karma cannot hold Paramatma. And so no amount of actions can help us to attain infinite. But love is already infinite. And so when we filled with love, not that we catch infinite, we experience infinity. And then he's saying, for my bhaktas, I will be caught. And then Mother Yashoda feels very satisfied. Finally, she's able to tie him and she walks off to go back to that milk. Because some important festival ceremony had to happen that day. And as she's gone, Krishna looks at these trees that are standing there and recognizes them to be Kubera's sons who have been cursed in the tree. And then Krishna says, oh, it wasn't Mother Yashoda that was the reason I had to get tied. It's this Narad Muni. Because Narad Muni cursed these sons of Kuber and then now they have to be freed. And for me to free them, I have to be sitting in this spot to be able to notice the trees and then do something to free them. So every time a bhakta gives a curse or a promise, then Bhagwan has to do that work. And so what ties Bhagwan? Bhaktas. Not their karmas, but their bhakti. And so this little Krishna now starts walking with, he's tied to, it's called a mortar, which most people don't know what it is. Basically, they used to have these humongous stones to wash their clothes. And so it was a very solid, big stone. And so he's pulling that along. And this tiny little Krishna can pull that incredible weight. The Gopabalas watch all these things, and then when the story is finished and they go and tell their mothers at home, Krishna was pulling the mortar, the mothers look at them and are like, why you people make up stories? And the mothers never believe that all these things actually happened when the Gopabalas go back and tell them all the stories. And he breaks the trees. The stone breaks the trees. He just walks through nicely. And when the trees break, Kubera's sons who come out of it are so grateful to be released from this curse that they are praising Krishna. But what they say is, okay, now this is my masala, little bit. What they're saying is the same, but the way I'm going to say it is masala. That, Krishna, can you just stay exactly like that so I can catch the picture? Because he is still got the rope tied around him and he's now sitting on the mortar. And what they say is, your glory is that this rope and the gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, are called rope. Guna means rope. And so when Maya ties us or binds us, it's with sattva, rajas and tamas. And so that rope that usually ties us, he has used to free them. And that very thing that binds us, enslaves us, brings us sorrow, that very thing Krishna uses to free us. So sattva, rajas, tamas, if we are more in tamas and more in rajas, then we will keep doing things that keep binding us. Even in sattva, we can do sattvic things, but get very attached to the thing. Whether it be seva or charity or the ritual, and getting attached to the thing, even though the thing is sattvic, then the attachment is rajasic. And it will bind us. But he uses all of these to free, because in bhakti, in these leelas, all the senses that usually go out to enjoy are being turned to him. In fact, the gopis will have this conversation a little bit later, where they discussing while going to fill up water from the river, that, what's the purpose of having eyes? Because you see all these rishi munis, they close their eyes to meditate. So if we have to close our eyes to meditate, then why have eyes? I don't think the purpose of having eyes is to close our eyes to meditate, because then we don't need to have eyes. Then the other gopi will say, that's right. The purpose of eyes is definitely not to close and to meditate. It is to be able to look and to see, but not just see anything. It's only to look at Krishna. And if our eyes have seen Krishna, then purpose of the eyes have been met. And so, where is he, by the way? And they would go looking for Krishna. And so those same senses that usually go out into the world to enjoy this, that, and the other, here in Nirodha, get attracted only to that which uplifts our mind. So it's when you see something, even if you think it's beautiful, either we think to offer it, or we see it as Bhagwan itself. So you see the flower, and the flower is so beautiful, so you can see this beauty, which is the flower, is Bhagavan itself, or it's so beautiful, I will offer it to Bhagavan. Yeah. So I wanted to get new clothes for Krishna for his birth yesterday, right? Usually when it's Janmashtami, we put new clothes. So I had asked someone to. Then she sent me a very long message of, this was the best seva possible because I love shopping and it felt like divine shopping. Is there such a thing as divine shopping? If your mind is completely turned to Krishna, yeah. And I remember when ashram was first opened and Krishna was first kept here and Gurudev done Sthapna, and the people who were here had developed such a connection to this Krishna. And one of the devotees at that point in time, when the daughter was getting married, she took the first bit of cloth before making all the wedding outfits and made the dress for Krishna. So it can be even you doing your shopping, but keeping him in your heart. You're making sure he comes first. Yeah. And this is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas can bind us. And we can just be thinking about next movie or next holiday, next indulgence, whatever the indulgence is. Right? Or Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, in this very same world, we can be thinking how to use it to serve Krishna. Whatever it is, how to use it to serve Krishna. And sometimes we'll be looking through games or Instagram or something, and I'll think, we can use that for Shishu Vihar. We can use that for Chick class. We can use that for... Our mind can just always be still enjoying the world. And there's that singer that went to India now and made that song. You all know which one I'm talking about. Yeah, that one. And then immediately now there's 2 bhajans already on that tune. Have you all heard? No, you haven't heard the bhajan version? The bhajan version. You've only heard the bhajan version. So it became a very popular song, right? We're still enjoying the world, still enjoying popularity, still no famous singer. Of course, I don't, but you all know who he is. And then someone hearing it, recognizing that this is now very popular, recognizing it's a catchy tune, recognizing that it's going to be sung all the time, changed all the lyrics to Radhe, right? That's the, every line ends with Radhe. And of course it's a bhajan, all the lyrics are a bhajan. Continue enjoying the world, being in the world, but see it in a way that we can dedicate it to Krishna. Whether it be clothes, whether it be music, whether it be food, whether it be... And then after a while you'll have to edit some of the things you do, because some of the things you do cannot be dedicated to Krishna. Which is very good for you. Because we should only be doing all the things that we can dedicate to Krishna. So the sons of Kabir have that image of Krishna, which they say they will now only worship that image that has freed them, and they disappear. In the meantime, when those trees had fallen down, it had made such a huge sound that everyone came running. Nanda Baba and not the small ones, Nanda Baba and all his friends came running, and they see these trees that have fallen, and then Krishna is tied to this mortar sitting there, nicely just enjoying the breeze, because he had just said bye to Kubera's sons, and so looking very innocent, like nothing happened. And Nanda Baba comes, and Nanda Baba sees Krishna tied up, and immediately he unties Krishna and he says, tied you, Kana? He goes very close to Nanda Baba's ear and says, Maya. So then Nanda Baba said, Maya tied you? Don't go anymore to Maya, okay? Even you don't go to Maya. So Nanda Baba also says, okay. And just then Mother Yashoda comes running to see what has happened after that big sound came. And Krishna jumps down from Nanda Baba and goes running, Maya! Everyone there used to wait for him to do all these things. Any child in the house, we've all already experienced, and constant entertainment by what it is they are doing. And here, because it's Krishna, it captures our mind. And that's why every child, they say, see Krishna only in that child. So, Nirodhan very easily attracts. He very easily attracts. The joy, the love, the playfulness, the charm, Krishna is that which attracts. So, when he was still very, very small, already Kamsa had realized that this 8th child was born, and if he's out there, then that's threat on Kamsa's life. And so immediately Kamsa comes up with all these plans to be able to find who he is, where he is, and be able to kill him. And sets off the search party with Putana. But in Gokul, when Yashoda Maya opens her eyes and they are rejoicing, then yesterday in the story I told you all that Nanda Baba had accepted this baby from Vasudev, but there is some versions where it's written in the Bhagavatam, whereas I said it yesterday. But there are a lot of parts in Bhakti where they want to be able to narrate the stories, to be able to create more and more love for Bhagwan. And so some of them say, no, Krishna belonged to Yashoda Maya and Nanda Baba completely. And so he manifested in the jail, but he also manifested in Gokul, in Nanda Baba's house. And then when Vasudev brought him, the two halves of Krishna merged. And it was only ever that he belonged to Nanda Baba and Yashoda Maya. But Bhagavatam version is what I told you yesterday. And here the idea is, how did they get so lucky? Like, what did Nanda, like, Devaki and Vasudev Maharaj did so much tapas to be able to have Krishna as their son. And this feels like a cheat, because they did no tapas. They were in Swarg, and Brahmaji needed people on earth to look after Krishna and asked them to come. And so just the blessings of a Mahapurush is all that they had to be able to enjoy all Krishna's Leela. Remember, no amount of action can give us Krishna. It's blessings only that can give us Krishna. And then why all these actions? Because our minds get so dirtied doing all the wrong karmas, so we should have to do all the right karmas to then purify our mind. And only when that mind is receptive will we be able to see it. You might have already experienced this in your life. Maybe elders, maybe guru, maybe even friend tells you something. Like, this is the scenario. Maybe about a person, maybe about your own life, your own situation. And then you think, no. And then after enough time goes, you start to be able to see it. Oh yeah, I'm only behaving in this way that's antagonizing. Oh, yeah, this person has this insecurity, and so every time I provoke it, it's going to. Maybe you didn't see it the first time somebody told it to you, because we weren't ready to. Even though it's the truth, and it can be seen. I'm sure you've already experienced it. Yeah. Then why suddenly years later we can see it, even though it's that same sentence? Yeah. And sometimes years later we can see it and nobody actually said it, but we just remember it and we can recognize it. Krishna is already here. Can already be seen. But we can't recognize because our minds have become gross with rajas and tamas. And then all those actions that we keep doing with rajas and tamas makes it more and more and more and more gross. And the more gross it is, the less we can see him. And so the first bit of all the Krishna Leelas is all these asuras that Krishna kills. And all these asuras that Krishna kills is all these tendencies that we have that make our mind more and more jada. And so the first one is Putana. Again, how many of you already know all these stories? You all don't mind hearing it again. Okay, I'll do it story way. So asuras have this gift that they can disguise themselves to make themselves look other than what they are. And always in the story, asuras are ugly. But they can make themselves look beautiful. That's always the way the story goes. But it's not that they're physically ugly. Because remember, asuric tendencies, all of us have. And even someone who's physically incredibly beautiful, when having spoken in an asuric tendency or giving into an asuric tendency, it's not beautiful. Like when we can recognize jealousy in someone, it doesn't look beautiful. Or when we can recognize someone being very, very partial and not serving justice, it doesn't look nice. And it's got nothing to do with physical. Yeah? And so the story says the asura is ugly, but they're not physically ugly. Yeah. And then they make themselves look beautiful. That's all of us. We all know how to do that. They remember once there was somebody's birthday and it was the, you know how milestone birthdays, then family members give speeches to, and this particular person, they had called Swamiji, myself, few of us there. And so they were making so much fun of her. I'm sure she regretted having this birthday. And they said, this is how she'll be talking. And I'm not going to say actual, why did you do that? I told you 300 times not to do that. Swamiji, when did you come? And she'd do this absolute flip. And they did the whole play about how she would do this continuously. Like when talking to somebody else, it would be very, and when there was genuine love for Swamiji. It wasn't pretentiousness. It was, I love you. But also, you don't want to look bad in front of him. And this is exactly what they mean by the asuras looked ugly, but made themselves look beautiful. And so Putana makes herself look very beautiful, and she was Kamsa's nanny. No, but she used to feed him when he was a baby. You know, so like wet nurse, is that what the correct word is? She was Kamsa's wet nurse. And so she had brought him up. And so she felt immense love for Kamsa and of course wanted to help Kamsa. And so she put poison on her breast and went to feed all newborns because obviously the 8th child had just been born and so it would have been a newborn. And so she walks into Gokul and there was so much festivity in Gokul that Krishna was born that they definitely knew Krishna was born. And so she walks straight into the house and actually the gopis didn't leave Yashoda Maiya's house. Like from the time they realized Krishna is there, they were on rotation in the house. And Yashoda Maiya had to fight them sometimes to be able to hold Krishna because they were like, let us hold him. Because so much joy in just being near Krishna that they would want to always be near him. And then when they see her, Putana, coming in and she looks so professional, looking after babies. And some women do have a lot of experience, like, you know, and then they know exactly what's wrong with the baby. And so they all thought, oh, wow, yes, Krishna should have the best. And she really looks like she knows what she's doing. So they hand over Krishna to her. Looks can be very, very deceptive. And so Putana takes her. And then this section, they say that Krishna closes his eyes. The minute she walked in through the front door, Krishna closes his eyes and he doesn't open them. Now there's a great saint called by the name of Akhandanandaji Maharaj, and he gives 30 reasons of why Krishna closed his eyes. And some of them are very cute, like he knows he's going to drink poison, and so it's bitter and he's already closed his eyes with dread that he's going to eat poison. And then some of them are highly philosophical because you can, one way to give diksha is through the eyes. And, you know, she's come to hurt him and so he does not want her to get any of the breaks. So he gives so many reasons here. And so Guruji will usually go through all these 30 reasons of why Krishna closed his eyes. And then he says, oh, Krishna closed his eyes. For no reason whatsoever. But he drinks. Because Krishna will accept whatever we offer to him. And Putana is offering poison. And he knows. He knows this is poison, but it's being offered to him. So he will drink. But because it's poison, and because he doesn't want any other baby to be hurt, he keeps drinking, and keeps drinking, and keeps drinking, and keeps drinking until there's no more milk left in her, and he's sucking out her very life. At which point she starts screaming, "Leave me!" And she has lost her beautiful form and she becomes this huge. It is said that when she fell down, her waist landed in Agra. For those of you who know the geography of India, where's Gokul Vrindavan and where's Agra? Imagine how big she became. Although in Treta Yuga people were bigger, like we've shrunk in Kali Yuga, but even then it's pretty big for her to be able to reach Agra from Gokul. So she's screaming, "Leave me, leave me, leave me." And for all of you who have already watched Swamiji tell Krishna stories, you'll know what he says. Krishna Leelas are there even on the YouTube that you can watch more at length, because today we're not going to be able to go through all of them. He says, Krishna says, "Once I got you, I never let you go." Which is such a blessing. Because in a sattvic mood, our mind will turn to Krishna. And we'll be holding on to Bhagwan's feet. But next morning, sattva is gone, and then rajas has crept in, or tamas, because we're snoozing the alarm. And so we've let go of Bhagwan's feet. And so we really want this to be true, that he says, once I catch you, I never let you go. And we've been seeing in the stories of the Bhagavatam that it is. He doesn't. We saw with Bharat when he became a deer. We saw with so many of these kings, and you know, even if they didn't want to go into Grahastha life, like which one was it? King Prithu. No, after that there was someone. Rishabha? No, Rishabha knew what he was doing. I think it was after. Kadamba Rishi also didn't want to go into Grahastha life, but he did. That once we truly, truly, truly surrender, he won't let go. But this surrender has to be 100%. All of us surrender. But holding on to some things, we surrender some things. Usually, holding on to attachment, and then we surrender all those things that are giving us problems. And usually it's the attachment only that is giving us the problem. So we're holding on to it, but we're surrendering it at the same time. So it's like we haven't given it. But even if for 30 seconds you give it completely, then we are his. Otherwise, we have to keep trying. Surrender, get up, surrender again. Remember we did that Surya chant in the ashram where 108 times we had to bow down. And I remember somewhere around 60, I was thinking, do we really have to bow down this many times? Like, can't we do it once really properly? If we did it really properly, it would be only once. Because if we surrender, we're not getting up again. We stay there at his feet. So Putana falls and everyone is confused and disorientated, like, how did this happen? How did this horrible demoness come amongst our midst? And we gave Krishna to her. What were we thinking? And then only by the blessing of Bhagwan has he been saved. And then they do all this puja to make sure that, you know, nothing has gone wrong. And they take his nazar, and then so much fuss. And then Krishna is just enjoying all the attention. More attention he gets, the better. He is enjoying all the attention. But in the Ramayana too, the first kill that Ramchandraji does represents ignorance, and even here, Putana represents ignorance. And she's feeding poison. It's our ignorance that turns things in our life into poison. And so it might be such a beautiful relationship, and then we are ignorant about how to have that relationship. And then that relationship becomes so much tension, so much heartache, so much discomfort. Yeah. Or our health. We go and do something, not expecting it to have any consequence because we are foolish. Of course, everything we do have consequences. And then ignorance. Maybe even though we knew these things have negative consequence, we don't think it applies, or we don't know also sometimes. And so then ignorance becomes poison. It becomes the reason for our suffering. And so Putana is the first one to get killed because ignorance has to get killed, and ignorance gets killed by knowledge. And that's why Bhagavad Sapta is curing Jnana and Vairagya, but Bhagavad Sapta is also bringing back in the peace in so many people's minds, like all those santas sitting in the forest when they are doing it, and King Parikshit, preparing him for deathlessness, not for death, because the snake never kills him. He's already merged into Krishna by the time the snake comes. And so knowledge curing us from death to be able to achieve deathlessness. And then the second demon that comes is Chakatasura. Chakatasura is like, have you all seen Monsters, Inc.? You know that monster that goes into the wall and then becomes the wall? Goes into the carpet and then becomes the... Chakatasura is like that. He can... And so he goes into the wheel of the cart. And Mother Yashoda is tired, and Krishna has fallen asleep, so she puts him under the cart. And so Chakatasura goes into the cart because Krishna is under the cart. But this story is all the dahi and the ghee and all of that is on the top, and Krishna has been put at the bottom. And like I said, Krishna doesn't like being ignored. Like, you put something above me, this just won't do. And so actually he's killing Chakatasura, but he's also telling us this won't do. And so he kicks the cart with his tiny baby legs. And the cart goes flying and breaks. And again, everyone comes running. Is Krishna okay? Not knowing that he only kicked the cart. And they can't see Chakatasura because now the wheel is broken and he is dead, and so they don't know that he has come. And then straight after that, Trinavartasura comes, who is in a, what they call it? Tornado? Hurricane? Yeah. And Krishna makes himself super light so that he can be caught up in this whirlwind until he's lifted high enough to catch onto his neck. And then he has all the siddhis. So if he can make himself light, he makes himself very, very, very heavy, hanging onto his neck, Trinavartasura's neck. And then just like Putana, he also starts screaming, leave me, leave me, leave me, because now he is suffocating from the weight of his neck. And Krishna replies, you only lifted me up. And once I catch you, I won't let you go. And this whirlwind of Trinavartasura is lust. Lust in its full-blown form, usually we see as sexual desire, but anything that we get so enamored with, it kind of makes us go. If you look at your thoughts, when desire has entered your mind, desire and fear, both, huh? When desire comes into our mind and fear comes in, that thought won't go. It's on repeat. And literally you finish one thought and then next thought. You finish one thought and the next thought. And all of this happens before Krishna's naming ceremony. 3 asuras already get killed before they even get to name Krishna. Like, Kamsa was really efficient in getting his army out there to see the 8th child and to be able to destroy the 8th child. And so, like I was saying, they name him Krishna, and Krishna means that which attracts. Yeah. And to help us remember him, we don't remember all these demons. Right? It doesn't stay in our mind. All the story of all the demons he kills, I mean, sometimes it will stay, but you will remember all the masti he does. And so he does a lot. And one of the most famous ones is he used to love butter. But their butter didn't taste like our butter, huh? Their butter was made fresh every day. So when I tell the Balvihar kids the story, I'll say their butter tasted like ice cream. But it wasn't only butter. He used to also enjoy curd and milk. And so basically anything that came from Gomaya. Because there was this incredible love that he had for Gomaya. Remember, Mother Earth becomes a cow to go ask him to relieve her pain. Mother Earth takes the form of a cow and goes to Vaikunt. But also it is described in the Bhagavatam that Krishna is married to Lakshmi Mata. But Lakshmi Mata has two forms. Movable wealth and non-moving wealth. Okay? And the non-moving wealth is Bhudevi. And so Bhudevi is nothing but Lakshmi Devi. And so this love for Gomaya is also because he's wedded to Earth. He's wedded to Lakshmi Maya, who's taken the form of a cow. Yeah. And then that's very nice. Krishna loves cows because it's Lakshmi Mata and it's his wife. But more so, when we think of Krishna is wedded to Earth, we have to remember Krishna is Chaitanya, consciousness, and Earth is Prakriti. And then all of creation takes this form of Purusha, Prakriti, Purusha, Prakriti. And even we are a marriage between Purusha and Prakriti. Because we consider ourselves body, which is Earth. But actually, we are only Chaitanya. So, he used to steal butter all the time. It was one of the favorite things for him to do. And so at one point, the gopis started hiding the butter by tying it up on the top like this. Yeah. And then they would make all these elaborate schemes to be able to find it and break the pots and enjoy the butter. And most of y'all know those stories, but there was one story I had heard of a devotee called Dahi Banda. He was a pot maker. And so he never actually saw Krishna. But every time the gopis, literally every day, every second day, some gopi or the other would come into his shop and say, I need pots. And he would say, I just sold you pots last week. What do you do with your pots? And then that Krishna, he came into the house and then he broke that favorite pot that was the right size, that for that my family, that amount of day only is going to be enough. And that's the pot he broke. And so I have the big pot and I have the small pot, so I need that size again only. And then after complaining that Krishna broke the pot, the gopi would get lost in talking about how, and his footprints were all over the house, and then his feet are so cute, and then even his nails are so cute, and then I'm sure he had the butter smeared all over his face, because even when he wipes the butter, he uses the hand that has the butter to wipe the butter. And how does he not know? Of course we're going to know he ate the butter if it's all over his face. And the gopi would go on talking about him and go talking, and then the butter was even on his earrings, and then of course we know he's eaten our butter because we're looking at him and saying, did you eat the butter? And he'll still have the nerve to say, no. Gopi auntie, I'm so hungry. Please give me butter. And I can see that the butter is all over him. It's even gone. And he said, and the gopi would tell this whole long story. And so this pot maker is thinking, okay, you need a pot. Okay, go. But she's still busy telling them the story about how Krishna is so cute and how he broke the pot and how he ate all the butter. And then, then the next gopi would come in, and then she would also have a story about, that he's friends with my son, and then my son is also doing all of this now. He's also looking at me with big eyes. Of course, Krishna's big eyes are cuter, but my son is also learning all this masti from Krishna. And don't tell my son. I know he's my son, I should. But, Krishna is Krishna, so then how not to? And then I went and told Yashoda Maya. And all of these stories, Banda is listening to day in, day out, because every house their pots are breaking, because Krishna is breaking the pots to be able to get the butter. And so, without seeing Krishna, he's heard so much about Krishna that he starts loving Krishna. Without seeing him, just hearing all of this. And he's very old, and one leg is not good, so he can't really walk. But he's very tempted to go and see this Krishna, because he already knows how every curl of his hair curls. He knows the length of the eyelashes. He knows the description of his clothes and his jewelry. But he hasn't actually seen Krishna. But it's too hard for him to walk up the slope and be able to go to Gokul, and then who knows where Krishna will be at that point. And from the stories, he runs really fast here, there, everywhere. So he would just sit in his shop and think, maybe one day Krishna will come buy a pot. But Krishna doesn't buy pots. He only breaks the pots. And then one day when it's particularly quiet, this little boy bangs open the door, looks up at him and says, Tata, quickly, hide me. And he's heard so much about how sweet Krishna's voice is. And he's heard so much about how Krishna looks and how he does all the natak, that he knows who this is. He says, why should I hide you? This is not a hiding shop, it's a pot shop. Tata, they're going to catch me. And then they're going to beat me. You have to help me, Tata. And then he says, I know exactly who you are. You that nutcut that breaks all the pots, right? And then he said, that's why you should help me. See how much business I've given you. Tata, it's only fair you should help me now. This whole shop I think you have because I've given you so much business, Tata. And then Tata looks at him, Banda said, and says, the gopis will think you and I are in conspiracy and I'm using you to make money. If I hide you, I'm not hiding you. Oh, but Tata, please, you have to hide me. They're coming, I can hear them. You can hear the payals, I can already hear the payals, please. And he said, where will I hide you? There's only pots everywhere, there's nowhere here that I can hide you. And then there was one particularly big pot. And then he said, inside that pot I'll hide, Tata. And he said, there's no space inside for you for that pot. And he says, Father, take out all those other pots and then put them there and I'll go inside there. And then he said, if you go inside this pot to hide, then only I get to tell you when you can come out. That's the deal. And Krishna is thinking, should I accept this deal? He sounds like a very smart man. And he's not willing to conspire with me to, just hide me. And then he can literally hear their voices now, not just their piles. And he said, okay. And he jumps into the pot. And Tata puts the lid on the pot. And the 3 gopis come into the shop and says, Tata, did you see that Natkat Kana? I've never seen him. Only y'all talk about him so much. If you saw him, Tata, you'd recognize him. He'll make his eyes big like this. Did he come? Did he make his eyes big like that for you? I wish I could see it more. Oh, Tata, you're really missing. He's so cute. Actually, when we find him, we'll bring him here for you to see. Okay, bye, Tata. We'll come next week when we need pots. And off they go. And then, quiet. Quiet. And finally, there's a knock from the pot inside. Tata, they gone? Yeah, they gone. So let me out. No. The deal was, I'll only let you out when I say. Now I helped you escape. Now it's your turn to give me something. What you want, Tata? I would have given you before I got inside. No, you wouldn't. I know exactly who you are. Not just stealing butter, but you are the one that binds us inside this body. You can't come out until you free me from this spot. Because for as long as I think I am this body, I will see you only as this little kid running around Vrindavan. But I'm too old to run around Vrindavan. I want to see you all the time. And I can only do that if you release me from identification with this body. And Krishna is like, Tata, I don't know what you're talking about. Which pot is that? Tata, I only know pots that have butter in it. Please, Tata, let me out. It's so cramped in here now. But Dahibanda was like, you don't fool me. And you tell everyone, once you catch me, I won't let you go. I've got you. And until you let me go. And then finally Krishna comes out, blesses him with what he desired, and knew his heart all along. And that's why he came to this shop in the first place. These are the stories of Krishna that we remember. We will have a short break. Okay? Or you want one more story before the short break? One more story before the short break? Okay, we'll do 20. So then he would go back home, and actually in the Bhagavatam, there's no Radha. In the story of the Bhagavatam, there's no gopi by the name of Radha, and Radha doesn't exist. In the Bhagavatam, Lakshmi ji comes as Rukmini, and she marries Krishna and rules Dwarka. But there are many, many Puranas, and in one of the other Puranas, Lakshmi ji comes as Radha and not as Rukmini. But in the Bhagavatam, there's no mention of her. So technically speaking, we should not have to do any Radha stories. But people are so used to Radha stories. So even at this very young age, Krishna was already very, very fond of Radha. And so one day he went back home and he said to Yashoda Maya, Maya, I think I should get married already. And you should marry me to Radha. And Maya is looking at this 4-year-old. Aren't you a bit young to get married? And he says, no, no. Radhika Gauri se
Viraj ki chori se Maiya kara de mero vyah Umar teri choti hai Nazar teri khoti hai Kaise kara do tera vyah.
So this is in Bridge Bhasa, which I kind of understand. If I make a mistake, you all help me, okay? So firstly, he's saying Radhika Gauri se, this beautiful Radhika who is so fair, Karado mera pedapa, marry me to him. And then she says, Umar teri choti hai, means age is small, nazar teri khoti hai. Looking at Radhika like that already, what kind of mother would I be to marry you to her? Then he says,
Jo nahi vyah karave teri kaiya nahi chalaun Aaj ke baad meri maiya teri chaukat par na aun Aayega re maza jeet haarega Radhika Gauri se Viraj ki chori se Maiya kara de mero vyah Umar teri choti hai Nazar teri khoti hai Kaise kara do tera vyah.
he's saying, Maya, just accept you're going to lose. Because if you don't marry me to Radhika, then I'm not taking the cows to graze anymore. And I'm not going to come here back home again. So just accept it and marry me to Radhika.
चंदन की चौकी पर मैया तुझको बैठाऊं अपनी राधा से मैं चरण तेरे दबवाऊं भोजन में बनवाऊंगा छप्पन प्रकार के राधिका गोरी से विरज की छोरी से मैया करा दे मेरो प्यार उम्र तेरी छोटी है नजर तेरी खोती है कैसे करा दूं तेरा प्यार.
So Maya didn't agree. So he realized threatening her is not going to work. So he tries a new route. Maya, I will bring her like a new bride. And then she'll have to massage your feet. And she will wear her gungat and not look at you. And then she'll cook so many yummy dishes and you won't have to cook anymore, Maya. Isn't this a good idea? I think you should get me married to Radhika.
छोटी सी दुल्हनिया जब आंगन में डोलेगी तेरे सामने मैया वो
So he always knows he's going to win. So after saying that, she will serve you, she'll do anything you ask, you won't have to lift a finger in the house, then she takes him and puts him in his lap, her lap, and they do that. What's it called? And then they also do this. They take spit and they put it. Because if you've looked at with too much envy or sweetness, then they feel it will become imbalanced. And so pain will come. Because if you get praised a lot, promise you insult will follow. Because this world is dvandva. And so a mother will put her own spit, saying, now the spit's there. So already bad is already there. To negate, if there's a lot of mithas. So she says, of course, my Krishna, I will marry you to your Radhika. Whatever it is you want, I'll give you. Which really Yashoda Maya, in all these stories, is so blessed to have him do all these nakras just to entertain her and to entertain us also. So today is much earlier. We can have a shorter break, right? Because we haven't reached even halfway through the Krishna Leelas and we have only one more hour. A break for 10 minutes.